Chair, and thank you, Eco America, for your continued commitment and work to pushing for action to address climate change, an existential threat running like a common fiber through every part of our lives. Advocacy in fossil fuel energy states requires understanding and realizing that if what appears on the surface is not the whole story, but to be fair and just, one must dig deeper. An African proverb states, tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for today. I would revise that a little and say that tomorrow belongs to future generations, but the actions or inactions of this generation will dictate the type of world the next generations inherit. The ELCA, because of its diversity of ideologies, can embrace a challenge presented by fossil fuel states members and use this dynamic as an opportunity to inform policymakers on the complexities and necessity of a just transition that is essential to a net zero economy. Climate advocacy in fossil fuel states requires us to understand that there is a lot we can learn from the people living here. In the ELCA, we believe that through baptism, God is calling us into the world to serve together. Shaped by the ELCA social teachings, documents, we advocate creating opportunities to promote justice while addressing the challenges of climate change. We do this by meeting people where they are. Then we listen to each other's stories, giving each person full attention as they speak, listening as much with our heart as with our ears. We respect each person's journey, understand that we all have different prior experiences and are at various places on the journey of working toward climate justice. Therefore, we disagree, or when we disagree, or when we challenge one another, we do it in a manner that is respectful and not as an attack. We know that we usually grow the most through times when we have been most uncomfortable. We may need to challenge our understandings and even find some of our belief systems shaken. Our advocacy is grounded and shaped by social teachings. From a practical perspective, also, we understand that residents of fossil fuel states have families, sons, daughters, grandchildren. Many of them are stewards of the land, farmers, and they come to us with an incredible amount of knowledge. Our social statement on caring for creation, vision, hope, and justice states, we are called to live according to God's wisdom, Proverbs 8, which brings together God's truth and goodness. Wisdom, God's way of governing creation, is discerned in every culture and era in ways, various ways. In our time, science and technology can help us to discover how to live according to God's creative wisdom. Such caring, serving, keeping, loving, and living by wisdom sum up what is meant by acting as God's stewards of the earth. Through understanding, we develop our priorities that comprehend the collective perspectives, promoting local to global connections. We understand these learnings to advance policies geared toward bridging ideological divides while addressing the impacts of environmental degradation. We advocate for comprehensive energy efficiency, greenhouse gas mitigation, and adaptation legislation and policies for reaching carbon neutrality. And as we use this experience to advance climate and environmental justice policies that address the interconnectivity of ecological, economic, and social issues that promote strategies for remedying and eliminating systemic biases and injustices impacting the most vulnerable communities. We strive to find like-minded, collaborative partners in this work, ecumenical and interfaith, secular members of society and businesses, as we build relationships with elected officials. The ELCA is a church that believes God is calling us into the world together. The ELCA's 65 synods vary greatly in size, geography, membership, staffing, and program. The synods are grouped into 9 regions as shown on this map. Our Lutherans live in the largest fossil fuel energy protection states: Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Alaska, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Many Lutherans residing in these states have their livelihoods fully dependent upon fossil fuel energy production. We must be cognizant of that fact. Our advocacy must comprehend the realities, which for many in our congregations means, as noted by the U.S. Energy Information Administration, that the primary energy production in the United States grew 40% from 2009 to 2018, primarily driven by increased oil and natural gas production in Texas, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and North Dakota. Texas leads the nation in both crude oil and natural gas production. North Dakota was the second largest oil producing state in 2018. Texas, Pennsylvania, and Oklahoma account for 53% of the nation's natural gas production in 2018. West Virginia and Pennsylvania are two of the three largest coal producing states in the nation. But we also know that production of renewable energy in the US, which includes sources such as hydroelectricity, wind, solar, and biofuels, has grown by 51% since 2009. For example, Texas produced more than 3 times as much renewable energy in 2019 than in 2009, driven by increases in biofuels, energy production, and electricity generation from wind. Our ELCA members living in the fossil fuel state provide a crucial foundation for helping to shape our advocacy as we push for a just transition, a resilient world without leaving anyone behind, without leaving stranded individuals or communities. Just transition is complex, but policy-wise, we advocate for policy that expeditiously reach a carbon neutral society, supporting various on-ramps for people to get engaged in climate action work, and the avenues should include advocacy, education, and theology. Leading by examples as congregation promotes sustainable practices, we've embarked upon a creation stewardship project to put ELCA on the path to significantly reduce its carbon footprints with a pilot project in Pennsylvania. We are accompanying communities on a journey to a livable future where no one remains behind, starting with support for ministries in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Interested churches and facilities such as our seminaries and our camps will receive a baseline assessment of these emissions, as well as site-specific proposals informed by their ministry priorities. Depending upon the ministry site, the recommendations may cover energy efficiency, water usage, waste reduction, transportation, and farming. The goal is to equip the church for action in the communities and for congregations to promote sustainable practices. We mobilize and envision a sustainable and just economy for a resilient world, using a framework that operates with hope while connecting climate, economic, and social justice to resilient, inclusive communities. These are just a few of the ways where we find advocacy in fossil fuel states while challenging, but simultaneously areas of tremendous hope, sources of opportunity, sources of education, allowing us to build a more robust platform to move forward with.